quietly believe I'll be okay when I get promoted, when my marriage improves, when the children become older, when I find another job, when I have more money, when life finally becomes easier. Without realizing it, we have handed our well-being over to circumstances. Think about it. When stress rises, our brains naturally narrow their focus. We become more reactive and less reflective. If we don't have intentional habits, boundaries, supportive relationships, or recovery practices already in place, we tend to default to survival mode. Where in your life are you waiting for your circumstances to change, instead of leading yourself within them? Have you ever noticed that life rarely asks for our permission before changing our plans? One unexpected conversation, one difficult season, one wrong turn. Sometimes the moments we never planned become the moments that shape us the most. Behind every smile is a story. Sometimes it's hope, sometimes it's healing, sometimes it's a struggle no one else can see. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Smile, where we have honest conversations about mental health, because understanding always comes before healing. My name is Dr. Michelle Nicole, and I am your public mental health doctor. Today, I want to tell you about one of the greatest lessons I've learned about mental health. Ironically, I wasn't looking for it. It happened during one of my adventures. I found myself on a small island. The truth is, it wasn't part of the plan. Have you ever had one of those moments? You thought the day would go one way, and suddenly everything changes. That's exactly what happened. If I'm honest, the island wasn't what I expected. It wasn't the beautiful destination I had imagined. It wasn't the experience I thought I had traveled for. For a brief moment, I had a choice. I could spend the day wishing I was somewhere else, or I could become curious, and I chose curiosity. Instead of looking at the beach, I started looking at people. I started talking to the local community. I wanted to know, how do people survive there? How do families earn a living? How do they even access healthcare? What happens when someone becomes seriously ill? What opportunities exist for young people out there? As someone passionate about public health and mental health systems, those conversations became far more interesting than the scenery. Eventually, I discovered something fascinating. Fishing was the heartbeat of the island. Every day, men and women would leave before sunrise, catch fish, travel to the mainland just to sell them, and return home to provide for their family. And they do like that every single day. One conversation led to another. Then something unexpected happened. They invited me to join them. Now, I had never fished before. Imagine me trying to learn from people who had spent their whole lives doing that. There was plenty of laughter, plenty of mistakes. Eventually, I left that island carrying 2 fish. Later, I enjoyed one of the most satisfying meals I have ever eaten. Not because the fish tasted extraordinary, but because I understood the story behind it. And somewhere between disappointment, curiosity, conversations, and fishing, I realized something. Sometimes the place doesn't need to change. We do. That island taught me something that many of us spend years trying to learn, especially when life doesn't go according to plan. Most of us have been taught something without realizing it. We quietly believe I'll be okay when I get promoted, when my marriage improves, when the children become older, when I find another job, when I have more money, when life finally becomes easier. Without realizing it, we have handed our well-being over to circumstances. Think about it. How many people postpone peace? How many people postpone joy? How many people postpone rest? How many people postponed living? We became experts at managing our calendars, but beginners at managing ourselves. That is why two people can experience the exact same situation. One breaks, the other grows. The difference isn't always the situation. The difference is often self-leadership. Self-leadership isn't about becoming perfect. It isn't about always being positive. It isn't pretending difficult emotions don't exist. Self-leadership simply means learning to lead the only person you truly have influence over: yourself, your attention, your emotions, your habits, your reactions, your boundaries, and your recovery. That is why some people remain mentally healthy during difficult seasons, while others collapse during seasons that appear easier. Not because one life is harder than the other, but because one person has intentionally built ways of responding to life's ups and downs. Motivation comes and goes. Self-leadership stays. When I think back to that island, nothing external changed. The weather didn't improve. The island didn't become more beautiful. The accommodation didn't suddenly become luxurious. The only thing that changed was how I chose to experience it. And isn't that true for many areas of our lives? As a public mental health doctor, I spend a lot of time thinking about systems. We often think mental health depends on willpower. Research and experience suggest otherwise. When stress rises, our brains naturally narrow their focus. We become more reactive and less reflective. If we don't have intentional habits, boundaries, supportive relationships, or recovery practices already in place, we tend to default to survival mode. That is why waiting until we are overwhelmed to start taking care of ourselves often doesn't work well. Think about driving a car. You don't wait until the engine fails before checking the dashboard. You don't wait until you run out of fuel before thinking about the journey. Yet, many people do exactly that with their mental health. They wait until they are exhausted, then they try to recover. They wait until relationships begin falling apart, then they try to communicate. They wait until anxiety becomes overwhelming, then they wonder why simple advice doesn't seem enough. This is why I often say mental well-being is less about heroic moments and more about everyday systems. Healthy sleep, healthy boundaries, people you can be honest with, time to recover, purpose, reflection, learning how to respond instead of simply reacting. These aren't luxuries. They are part of the infrastructure that supports mental well-being. That is true for individuals. It's also true for workplaces. Organizations often ask people to be resilient while creating environments that make resilience harder. The healthiest workplaces don't rely on motivational talks alone. They build culture where people can ask for help, recover from pressure, and contribute without constantly sacrificing their well-being. Whether we are talking about a person, a family, or an organization, the principle is the same. Strong outcomes are supported by strong systems. So, let me leave you with a question. Where in your life are you waiting for your circumstances to change instead of leading yourself within them? Maybe your island looks different from mine. Perhaps it's unemployment. Perhaps it's grief. Perhaps it's burnout. Or it's uncertainty. Perhaps it's a relationship that is not going the way you hoped. You may not have chosen that island, but you still get to choose who you become while you are there. Self-leadership isn't about controlling life. It's about refusing to let life completely control you. This week, I want you to practice one simple habit. The next time something doesn't go according to plan, pause. Before frustration takes over, ask yourself one question. What is this experience trying to teach me? You might be surprised by the answer, because sometimes the greatest lessons come from the places we never planned to visit. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who needs the reminder that they don't have to wait for perfect circumstances to begin protecting their mental well-being. And if you're a leader or part of an organization looking to build healthier people and healthier workplaces, I would love to partner with you. Together, we can create systems that help people thrive, not just survive. Until next time, remember, behind every smile is a story. Take care of your mind. Lead yourself with intention, and I will see you in the next episode.